Okay, so you are welcome to this presentation. This presentation is very needful for students going in for the strategic case study paper in the ICAG professional examination and other professional examinations as well. Under no circumstance should you go in for the examination without looking through the various strategic position issues, the strategic choices issues, as well as the strategic implementation or the strategy into action issues, because these issues are going to form about 50 to 60% in your exam. So when you go into the examination room without knowing these issues, then I think, I'm sorry, it will become very difficult for you to get the paper. So I'm going to concentrate on the strategic position issues for this presentation, and I will make other presentations for the strategic choices as well as the implementations issues. Okay, so let me quickly put off my video so that you can give me your maximum attention. In fact, I need your total concentration, because this issue, that is the strategic position issue, is a very important section in the syllabus, because we are going to get a question or questions from here. Okay, so let me quickly off my video so that you can get me your maximum attention. So once my video is off, then I think we can zoom into today's presentation. So I'll begin today's presentation by defining what strategy is. There are various definitions for strategy. However, I will consider that of Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington, because this definition considers most of the strategic issues. So according to Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington, they are saying that strategy is the determination of the direction. So the first one is what? Direction. A very important concept here. Direction. And scope. And what? Scope of an organization over the long term, which seeks to achieve what? An advantage. Very, very important concept here. But the full meaning is what? Competitive advantage, or what? An advantage in a changing environment, or changing business environment. In a changing environment. Okay? Through its configuration of resources. Through its what? Configuration of resources. And also competencies. Resources and what? Competencies, with the aim of fulfilling stakeholders' expectation. With the aim of what? Fulfilling stakeholders' expectation. Stakeholders' expectation. So that's the definition given by Johnson, Scholes, and Whittington. A very, very, very important definition. So let's go through the definition very well. So they are saying that strategy is the direction. When we say direction, you can also call it growth or development. It's the same thing in case study. Okay, direction, growth, development. Please note these words. And also scope. In fact, we have models for analyzing all these things. Okay, so when we want to know where the organization is heading towards, the direction, we have a model. We call it Ansoff Growth Vector Matrix. But that's not our concentration for today. If you want to know the scope of an organization, where the organization should invest, then we are talking about the BCG matrix, and then the General Electric matrix. Okay, that's the GE business school. Now, if we want to know whether an organization can achieve competitive advantage or not, we have a model for that. In fact, we can be talking about the Porter's generic strategy and then Bowman's strategic clock. In fact, don't worry yourself about these things, because they are all strategic choices issues. I will take them one after the other in our next presentation. So this, they are what? Strategic choices. Strategic choices. So you are going to meet one of them or any of them in exams. Okay. Then we can achieve the advantage in a changing business environment. So here, when we say changing environment, we are talking about the external environment. You bear with me that no organization or entity can operate in isolation from the environment. We are all under the sun. So since it's an entity, it means it is within an environment. So we can achieve an advantage as an entity. You can achieve an advantage in a changing business environment. So we look at that as well. And how can we achieve that advantage? Through the configuration of the resources and the competence of the organization. And if the organization uses its resources and competencies to achieve advantage in the changing environment, it will help the organization to meet its stakeholders' expectations. So the last four issues here are strategic position issues. That is what we are going to look for. So I hope you have seen why I said that I will consider the definition given by Johnson Scholes and Whittington, because their definition summarizes the strategic position and the strategic choices issues. So the first three issues here are choices. We will do it in our next presentation. And the last four are what? Position issues. So it means when we say strategic position, it means you have to know the issues in the changing environment or the external environment, resources, competencies, and what? Stakeholders' expectations. Full stop. That's strategic position issues. And you should expect questions from here. Are you getting it? So please, I'm summarizing. I'm saying that if I mean strategic position, it means that you should be able to abreast with the principles, the issues, the concepts, the frameworks in the external environment. So this is the external environment, the changing business environment. And the resources and competencies are called internal environment. Are you getting it? So abreast yourself with the internal environmental issues, external environmental issues, as well as the stakeholders' expectation. Then you are done. That is the strategic position issues. And you will see a question there. Okay, good. So let's start. Let's start. Let's start. So I'll go through them one after another. I'll first take the changing environment, that is the external environment. I'll come to the internal environment. I will come to the stakeholders expectation analysis. That ends strategic position, which is coming into your exams. So let's take the external environmental analysis. External environmental analysis. Okay. Okay, so that's our first strategic position issue that we want to consider in this presentation. External environmental analysis. I don't like this line. It is not nice. So let me get rid of that. So let me even shorten the environment. So that we can move faster, right? Good. So external environmental analysis. We have three external, in fact, basically we have three external environments. A business should operate in an industry. So the first environment that you should be aware of is what? Is the industry. Is the industry. So we are going to analyze the industry. And in analyzing the industry, there is a framework or a model. We use something called the Porter's five forces. The Porter's five forces. Porter's what? Five forces. That is the framework or the model used to analyze the industry. So we want to know the position of the firm within the industry. How well is the company performing within the industry? Okay, what are the forces within the industry that will help the organization achieve its objective or otherwise. So the first environment, external environment that an organization may find itself is the industry. So it means that we have to analyze the industry. It's part of the strategic position. The second environment, external environment to be specific, is the national environment. National. So now we are going very wide. Not only the industry, but we want to know the position of the entity in the national environment. So when you're talking about Ghana, then it means we want to know the position of that company in Ghana. There is a model or a framework that can help us to know the position of a company within the national environment, as in Ghana. Okay, so that is called PESTEL. PESTEL is the framework that can help us to do that. The last external environment is international environment. So if the organization wants to go international, let's say Nigeria, we want to know the position of the company. If the company goes international, can that company succeed there? Or if an international company come to Ghana here, can that company succeed? So we have a model or a framework used to analyze the ability of a company succeeding going international. That is the Porter's diamond. Porter's diamond. Porter's diamond. So that is the external environment. If you are able to go through these three main analysis, it means you have completed the external environment analysis. So if the examiner tries to examine students on external environmental analysis, you are there. You have the knowledge there. So we are going to take them one after the other and then know the issues in there. Hope it's clear. So we are starting with the how to analyze the industry. Okay, industry analysis. That's the first environment, the external environment that an organization may find itself. Industry. And as we have already highlighted, the model that is used to analyze the industry is what? Is the Porter's five forces. I hope it's clear. Porter's five forces. Why are we analyzing the industry? That is the question. We want to analyze the industry to know the attractiveness. You see, according to Porter, Porter said that there are two main factors that affect the profitability of an industry. Sorry, of a firm. Profitability. One, he says that achieving sustainable competitive advantage is one of them. We will come there. And two, so this is what I want. Two, the nature of the industry and the competition there. So when we want to know the nature of the industry, the competition in the industry, because the competition and the nature of the industry will inform us about the profitability in the industry. So the main purpose of analyzing this industry is to know the profitability in the, to know the attractiveness of the industry. That is all. So you cannot answer question under industry, specifically using Porter's five forces, without mentioning profitability, attractiveness, competition. You are off key. You are off key. Because the main purpose of analyzing the industry is to know the attractiveness, the profitability, and the attractiveness or the profitability in the industry will be informed by the competition. So why can you answer a question under industry analysis or using Porter's five forces without telling us the various the competition, the profitability or otherwise? So how are we going to analyze the industry? So please, I said that, let me write it here so that you don't forget. We want to analyze the industry to know the attractiveness, the profitability within that industry. Okay. And Porter is saying that there are five forces or five factors that will affect the competition in the industry. Well, the competition will inform us whether we can get profit or the industry is attractive. So these are the five forces. One, we have the competitive rivalry. The competitive rivalry. That is the competition, the existing competition in the industry. Those who are there already. I don't know why the marker is behaving this way, but I think I will try for this presentation. Okay. So competitive rivalry. So those who are there, we want to know the competition. So if the competition is very high, the existing suppliers there or the actors there, if the competition is very high, it means that profitability will be low. Therefore, the industry is not attractive. So the key to answering question using Porter's five forces is that if any of the five forces that we will go through very soon, okay, the first one is competitive rivalry. So if any of the five forces is high, then competition is high, making profitability low. Therefore, the industry unattractive. But if any of the five forces is low, then the competition is low, which will make the market attractive, or it will make it will increase the profitability of the industry. So we are saying that for the competitive rivalry, we are talking about the existing competition within the players in that industry. So if there is an excessive competition among them, it means that competition is high, therefore profitability will be low, making the industry unattractive. But if the competition, sorry, the competitive rivalry is low, it means that the competition is also low. Then profitability is high, making the industry attractive. So what are the issues that we look within the case to know whether the competitive rivalry is high or low? One, the number of players within that industry. If there are many, then it means that the competition there is very high. Even technology advancement. So if there is rapid technological advancement, it means the competition will be high. Okay, so you look through these issues in the case study. The next factor that will determine the competition, hence profitability and the attractiveness, is what? Is the bargaining power of customers. Bargaining power of customers. Bargaining power of what? Of customers. Bargaining power of customers. We are saying that if the bargaining power of customers is high, but I'll be repeating, it means that competition is high. Don't forget I said if any of the factors is high, then the competition is high, right? So if the bargaining power of customers is high, it means competition will be high. And if competition is high, it means profitability will be low. Because we are all competing, we are all fighting for the customers, we are all fighting for the same profit. So if the competition is high, then profitability will be low, making the industry unattractive. However, if the bargaining power of customers is low, it means that the competition will be low, which will increase profitability, making the industry attractive. That is the analysis. So you have to know what are the factors that will determine that the bargaining power of customers is high or low. That is the question. That is what will be you will see in the case study. Are you getting it? Good. So what are some of the factors? One, we can talk about the switching cost. When you say switching cost, the cost that a customer will incur from switching or moving from one buyer to the another buyer. So let's say customer A was buying from a certain company, but now customer A wants to switch or move from that buyer to another buyer. The cost that the customer will incur to move from the one buyer to the other is the switching cost. So if switching cost is high, it means it will be very difficult for them to go. Because if I move from one customer to another customer, I'm going to incur significant cost. Then it means the switching cost is high. So if switching cost is high, I mean customers cannot go easily. So it will make competition very low. Therefore, profitability high, making the industry attractive. However, if switching cost is low, that means that the customer can just move from one buyer to the another buyer easily without incurring significant charges or cost. Then competition becomes high. In this case, the bargaining power of customer become high because he said, okay, if you don't sell to me, I will just go to this person. This person just say, I will just work, I will not incur any cost. So sell to me at this cost or at this price. If you feel I will go. Since switching cost is very low, it will make the bargaining power of the customers very high. They can just go easily, so their bargaining power will be high. And if the bargaining power of the customers is high, it means that the profitability, or let me even start from the competition, will be very high, then profitability will be low, making the industry unattractive. That is the analysis. Another factor or force that determines the nature of competition is the bargaining power of who? Of suppliers. Bargaining power of suppliers. So you need to look into the case study. We cannot mention all the factors here. Okay, we cannot mention all the factors. So we look into the case study and look at what are the issues that make the customer's power to be very high. When the customer bargains with the buyer, the customer will win the buyer. Look at those issues. What are the issues in the case study that are making the competition within the industry very high? So let's come to the third one, bargaining power of suppliers. So I'll still repeat, if the bargaining power of suppliers is high, it means that competition will be high. Therefore, profitability will be low, making the industry unattractive. But if the bargaining power of suppliers is low, then it means the competition will be low. Hence, profitability will be high, resulting in high or making the industry attractive. How is clear? So you need to look into the case study and look at what are the various factors. So it will be in the case study. The examiner will not tell you that bargaining power of customer. No. You will not be told that this high or low. But you need to look into the case study. Look at the issues that will make the bargaining power of suppliers to be high. The first one that we can talk about is the number of suppliers in the industry. If the suppliers who are supplying the raw materials are very small, it means that their bargaining power will be high. Because they are small. If you go there and you fail to adhere to the price of the supplier, you will not get some to buy. So you have to go by what the supplier will say. So it will make their bargaining power, I mean the supplier's bargaining power, to be high. And if the bargaining power of the suppliers is high, it means that profitability will be low, or the competition will be high, resulting in low profitability, hence the industry unattractive. But if the suppliers are many, if the supplier fails to sell to you at his or her price, then it means you can go to somewhere else and buy at an even cheaper price. So it will make the bargaining power of suppliers very low. Hence, the competition will be low, increasing profitability and making the industry attractive. This is how to do the analysis. Okay, let's go to the fourth factor or force that will determine the nature of what? Of competition. Threat of new entrants. Threat of who? New entrants. Those who want to enter the industry, can they just enter the industry easily or they cannot? If they can enter the industry easily, it means the barrier to entry is low. What will prevent them to enter is very low. So we call it barrier to entry. Okay, so if the barrier to entry is low, it means their threat is high. They can just enter. They can just enter because the barrier to the entry is low. So they can just enter. And if they can enter easily, it means their threat is high. So if the threat of new entrant is high, competition will be high because they will come and adapt to the competition. They can just enter and adapt to the competition. So if the competition is high, it will result in what? Low profitability, hence the industry unattractive. This is what we want you to be saying. However, if the threat, the bargaining power, uh, the barrier to entry, that's what I want to say. The barrier to entry is high. It means they can't just enter. So if the barrier to entry is high, it means that their threat, the threat of new entrant to be low. They cannot just enter. And if the threat of new entrant is low, if they cannot just enter, it means that competition will be low, making profitability high, resulting in attractive industry. So you need to look through the case study. What are the factors within the case study that will make the bargaining power of customers high or low? That is your work. That is all. One of the factors that you can see in the case study is the capital requirement. If the capital requirement is low, they need just some small amount of money to enter. It means the barrier to entry is low. They can just enter. If they get some small amount of money, they can just enter. So if the capital requirement is low, it means the barrier to entry is low. So they can enter and adapt to the competition, bringing down profitability down, making the industry unattractive. But if the capital requirement pay the case study, new entrant needs huge amount of money before they can enter. It will make the barrier to entry high. They cannot enter, which will result in low competition, hence high profitability, making the industry attractive. Another factor that you can see in the case study to determine that the threat of new entrant is high or low is switching cost. That switching cost can be applied to all. Okay, so if they enter and it's easily for the customers, existing customers, to switch easily to them, it means they will come. So their threat will be high as compared to if they cannot just switch to them. Okay. Another one that you can find in the case study to determine that their threat to be high or low is economies of scale. If the existing players, those who are selling, the existing players, have already built economies of scale, it means they can produce more at a higher, lower cost. Then, if they enter, since the existing players have the economies of scale, it will prevent them from coming, right? Because they are now coming to start and build that reputation. So it will be difficult for them to enter. So if there is economies of scale, the existing players have already built economies of scale. It will make their threat low. They cannot threaten the existing players, making the competition low, profitability high, hence the industry attractive as compared to uh, if there are no economies of scale. I hope it's clear. So these are some issues that you, in fact, look at those issues. The last factor or force that will determine the nature of competition is threat of substitute. Threat of what? Of substitute products. Substitute products or service. Substitute product or service. So if the industry, we have substitute product, we have product that will meet the same need, then it means there is a threat. There is a threat. There is a threat. So what are you going to look at, or what are you going to search in the case study to determine whether there is threat of substitute product or service? The first one is that if there exists a substitute product and even at a lower price, they sell that substitute product at a lower price. It's a very big threat because customers will switch to that substitute product or services to enjoy the lower price because it will still their same need. So if the prices of the substitute product are very low, it will make the threat of substitute product high. It will threaten existing players. And if the threat of substitute product or services high, it means competition will be high. But we have already built that concept. And if competition is high, it means profitability will be low, making the market unattractive or the industry unattractive. So please, this is how to analyze the industry. This is how to analyze. So after that, I have to do a conclusion. So if most of the issues, the forces, if most of them are high, it means that competition will be high, making the profitability low, hence the industry unattractive. But if most of them, because some will be high, some will be low. So if most of them, the forces or the factors are low, it means that the competition will be low, resulting in high profitability, leading to industry attractiveness. So please, that is how to use the Porter's five forces to analyze a case study question. So we are done with the industry. So please know the five forces: competitive rivalry, bargaining power of customers, bargaining power of suppliers, threat of new entrants, and threat of substitute product or services. Know how to analyze them. Talk about competition, profitability, and the industry being attractive or not. Look for the issues in the case study which will help you to answer the question. So we are left with the national and then the international. Okay, we are left with the national and international under the external environment. So let's move on.